All right. We were having big chats in the pre-show, which was very insightful and really, really good stuff. But that's why we're running a little bit late. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. We are doing part 2 out of a 3-part discussion with 5 parts total in this book of Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Stormlight Archive series, which I have been loving. In fact, I did a little quick video on TikTok about this where it's like, oh yeah, all right. And then it hits a part where you're just like gripping the armchairs and you're like, let's go, which is what I had at the end of this particular part. If you are wanting to know what is free reign to talk about, anything prior to the end of chapter 58. So end of part 2. Wait, are there 5 parts total or 4 parts?
There are 5 parts, and we're
end of
probably
part 3. End of part 3. So we've got 4 and 5 to go. Got it. We're end of part 3. Academic says, hey, how does one join those awesome discussions in the pre-chat? They sound awesome. Thank you for asking, Academic, because you were in that discussion. You can be a part of the book club member program. It's on patreon.com/Maude's Book Club. If you do want to be a part of this awesome Discord call that we're in, it's a video chat that we can see it's as if we're sitting in a room together chatting about the book. You can hear them. The discussion's free and open flowing. We hang out a little bit before and after the show, which is a lot of fun. We have great conversations. You can kind of put faces to voices, and their names will pop up when they talk, so you know who's talking as well. We basically, I think, do three streams at least a month, parts 1 and 2 of our main book, and then we do a bonus book as well. We're locking in the schedule for April. We have decided on the books. We will be doing Jade City as our main book, and our bonus book is the chunky Court of Wings and Ruin, because we are continuing with a slow sludge the Akatar series. We pushed that one back from February because it's a bit of a chunk book, but they are going to be our books. I also have just locked in the details of a Q&A with Kelsey Himpiche. It's, you know what, I heard her say it in a video and I tried to commit it to memory, but there's so many C's in that last name. The seas. She's sailing the seas with that Impiche. I hope I get that. I've got 2 weeks to figure it out. Thank you. Because that's a Q&A that's going to be happening Thursday, the 3rd of April at 5 p.m. PT. She's written her first ever romantasy book. It's a sort of a reimagining of The Little Mermaid, and I'm very excited to not only dive in and read it, pun intended, but to talk to Kelsey about it. If you don't know Kelsey, she is a content creator. She does a lot of cozy video games. She's on YouTube and Twitch and TikTok and all that fun stuff. Excuse me. It was a baby one, but it was just sitting there. So we had to, 140 burps. Goodness me. So that's what next month looks like. I think we're going to do Jade City's part 1 and 2 first, and then we'll do a Court of Wings and Ruin at the end of the month. So those that haven't started can get cracking into that one, and we'll have that conversation. Any other housekeeping, I'm wondering? Where are all my notes?
We have
what is live?
Like a game stream coming in, or 2 game streams.
Yeah, I do. I want to really quickly. I don't think I like this camera. I don't like how it looks as much as another one. There's just something about. But what? Why is she so low? Oh no, Ziz. I like this better. Oh, that's not it. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. I just don't know why. Boop, boop, boop. I mean, that's better. I'm doing that. And then I'm changing this one. I just noticed that when we do the videos from it, I don't like it as much. And I believe this video looks better in the Discord, yeah?
Yeah. But you're, yeah.
Everyone wins. Why are you so small though? Be bigger. Be bigger. Hey. Oh, what did she do? What did she press? Can't be trusted. The first one is overexposed. I know, and I messed with the settings as well to try and like tame it, and I brought the brightness way down, and you think it did anything? Absolutely not. Let me try and bring it up and see if I can. If it's just even a Maude stream, if we don't mess with shit live. Yeah, I brought the brightness down to like 130. Oh, that's even better. That's better. I get that brightness down. Set it down to 81. Is the contrast too high maybe? That's better. That's better. Look at that shine though. This is like not as good a camera apparently, but it's better than that one. Oh, okay. Hey, cool. Yes, your brightness. Yay, I like that. Does it have ISO up? Oh, I don't know what that means, but let's find out in real time. Image. Nope, there's image presets, which I did custom. Processing. Low light compensation. No, there's not. There's light on my face. I don't think so. But oh, there it is, 800. What does it mean? 800. Academic, you've got a microphone. You can just tell me.
Yes, I could. 800. That's not that high. I guess depends on the camera. Higher is brighter, works better in darker areas. Lower will wash it out, but you'll probably get a clear picture.
Wait, now it's saying 800. Wait, 100. That one's not going to do it because I'm in it. Okay, cool. Question, says Kate. If you have hazel eyes, are you light eyes or dark eyes or in between? Or does hazel not
Light
exist
eyes.
in this world? Oh, everyone's deciding or determining if there are light eyes or dark eyes. Kate, you are a light eyes then. Higher means brighter. All right, so with everyone's video in here, who is the brightest of them all? I think I've got you all beat. Okay, who, say I, because this is audio only. Who has brown eyes?
I.
Okay, better question. Who doesn't have brown eyes? So it's Lisa, Ken, and me. Katie?
And Colin.
Wait.
And Colleen.
And Colleen.
And me.
Tim, what have
I
you
have
got?
blue eyes.
You got blue?
I have blue eyes.
Lisa,
yes.
what do you have?
I've got blue eyes.
You got sweet blue eyes, do you? My brightness. KP Dubs, what color are your eyes?
Mostly blue, a little bit of green.
Oh, okay. Woohoo. That's fancy. Colleen, what color are your eyes? They're blue.
Said hazel.
Colleen's a hazel.
Blue.
I look at Colleen's eyes. Maddie's got hazel eyes. Countryman has blue eyes over here. Academic says, I am the dark eyes of the lowest none. Of course, brown eyes are bad when they are the eye color that people of color have. That's a great discussion though, Kate, whether it's intentional or not, whether it's a way for people to kind of understand that there is a inherent prejudice that does exist. Because blue eyes are typically European in nature. Is he holding over to that? Because for me, I actually had to think about that. The horn eaters sound Polynesian, but have red hair. So it's like they're almost, the hair looks Scottish. The accent that gets put on sounds Polynesian. Colleen says, I think that's the point. Light eyes are 10,000% colonizers. Not sure if it was deliberate on Sanderson's part since Mormons haven't had the best race relations. How are you liking? Sorry, Terry's like, look, I'm not reading this book, but I am reading the Throne of Glass series. How are you liking the series so far?
It's good. I like it. It's very D&D.
Wild. Because I played D&D and that was the last thought that I had. My first thought was, oh my, they're so pretty. Every single person, so pretty. Team Kale or Team Dorian? Lisa, which team am I on?
Dorian.
There it is. And why is that? Could be anything.
Because he's a dum dum.
I lost for it.
Well,
I'm just
because
kidding. I'm
started
just
with
kidding. I love
Assassin's
Dorian.
Blade,
Dorian, Adolin, Cassius. Are we seeing a theme? Are they all? No, Dorian's got dark hair, not blonde hair.
I started with Assassin's Blade, and I'm still Team Sam.
Oh, that's
Damn.
cute. Aw. A little bit of enemies to lovers. That's sweet. Kate says Maud likes them stupid. It's so funny though. I don't. I don't. I don't mean to slam any exes, but I don't think he's watching this. I had an ex that was just had a conversation was quite shallow. I really like to handle deep conversations. I like to think. I want to, talk about things, and that was not happening with him, and it actually was a red flag for me, and I didn't like that very much. I am EM Mike's attempting to remember what listener eyes look like. We have discovered in the first. Why are you flickering? Does anyone else see that with my video?
On stream, yeah.
Of course, now it does. Yeah, there it is. Ha! Listeners are the Parshendi, and if I'm not mistaken, they have black and red marbled skin. Black eyes for them. Don't they all have black eyes, including the sclera? What's a sclera?
It's the white part of your eye.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, got it. Wouldn't that look like they were bringing the void if they didn't have that?
Yes. Also, like animals have that too. Have full, black eyes.
Yeah, but does this book to talk about void bringers?
Yeah.
Are the Parshendi void bringers?
So they're called.
Are they the
maybe.
bringer of voids? We'll figure it out. It's always slightly uncomfortable being a blonde hair and blue-eyed when they talk about any sort of eugenics. And this book does that quite a lot. But in saying that, there's a reason why it's called Maud's Book Club. And you will refer to me as your brightness forevermore in this episode. Please. Thank you very much. That put a bad taste in my own mouth, even joking about it. Fun times. That's why Dalinar was almost defeated. He said, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Maud, our brightness. Yeah, she's a gold. She's a brightness. Well, excuse me, brightness. Oh, I like that. That's funny. Also, Link. Blonde blue eyes. The listener fan art is cool. I remember when we did the first book, we brought up some fan art and about 30 or 40% of it was spoilers. So I've learnt that lesson. Now that it is a part 2 check-in, book good? Did you prefer this portion of reading over the first portion of reading?
Yeah.
Most people are pretty much saying yeah. Otherwise, it's kind of on par. Katie says book is good. Kate says book
Jimmy
great.
I saw a little what?
Yes, but Jimmy likes to be a little controversial. He likes to go against the grain sometimes.
What you meant to say is Jimmy doesn't like all the books that we like.
No, that's what I say about
Everyone
you.
has their own opinion.
Well,
So-
Jimmy and I can have the
Me.
same. Because I don't
Me
like the
too.
books that Jimmy likes most of the time either.
Hey,
It's
Jimmy
true.
is reading the book
True.
It's true.
It takes notes.
and takes notes. What was it about the first part that you liked a little bit more?
Me.
Yeah.
Well, the first part, I get that they're setting up the scenario, with the feast celebration and all that other stuff. And, like Jasna meeting with the assassin and all that. It was a really nice, kind of like recap, if you will. And it was setting it up for a good trajectory. And then as the book progressed, as you would call it, a Sanderlanche.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
think we're even at that yet.
Okay. Well,
No, so the Sanderlanche usually happens in like the last 50 pages, where this is all a slower build. This is all putting the pieces into place. And then he drops a boulder on the chessboard. That's usually the Sanderlanche experience that we have.
My definition of a Sanderlanche is obviously different, because when I think of Sanderlanche, I think he's overloading you with information. And then I'm just like, okay, this is too much. I need to process it. That's what my definition of Sanderlanche
I don't like
is,
sand.
because I'm being buried with all this
It's
information.
coarse and rough and irritating. It gets everywhere.
I respect that you're like, we're going to take a word that has an actual definition, aka the truth of the word, and you're going to change it to cater for you. I respect that. Maybe what you have is just sandemonium. Maybe we could give it that word, where it's like there is just a lot happening and you're like, too much information. But I will say the Sanderlanche, because it's like an avalanche. So it's the building of it all, and then it's just obliterating you in the end.
But overall, good read.
Oh, yeah. I like this series. I love it. Kate says, I also loved when Witch showed up and Kaladin, Shallan, and Adolin all did the Donald Sutherland pointing meme from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm going to need that in the show chat. That is so specific. Who knows exactly what that is? Oh, Darian has found some Parshendi fan art that looks beautiful. That's gorgeous. Katie quotes, you hugged Wit. Yes, we discover that not only is Wit back, which I did in all capitals in Fable for that chapter, Wit is back, but that they know each other from the unveiling of Shallan's history that we are getting at. Kind of the first couple of questions that I want to talk about in this portion. KP Dubs, you mentioned earlier on Fable, people were saying, I'm getting through the Shallan chapters so I can get back to Kaladin. The big thing I want to talk about is whose chapters are you enjoying more? Shallan or Kaladin? For me, it's Shallan.
I'll just say I was rereading all the Fable posts we had put in for Way of Kings, and in that book, people were like, "Shallan, when can we get back to Kaladin?"
Yes,
and I don't know if I remember that or not. It's been a while since we.
I did. It was contrasting. Because Shallan was studying, and she was like it felt like a tutorial. Yeah.
And she was whining about her family. Oh, what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, but now I feel like
Shallan's coming into her own.
I don't want to say I want to see her chapters more than Kaladin's, because his are pretty badass too, with the fighting. And
the fighting's and amazing. But Kaladin's...
okay. I like Shallan's chapters a lot, yes.
Kaladin's just doing his little fighting montage moments. He is doing his training montage, and that's going for a few chapters. He's also a brooding little bitch a lot of the time in this one. His resentment is clouding him so much, and it's festering. And he can't even see that he's so hypocritical to Moash. Moash, we've discovered, is, oh my gosh, I had structure. We're not doing it. Maybe we'll get in there. But Kaladin is a professional stick in the mud, says Kate. I wrote it in Fable where I was like, he's such a buzzkill. And anytime someone's having an iota of fun, he like turns into the fun police and he really hates them for it. This looks like a good time. Like he's hissing almost. He's so angry. But it's like, Kaladin, life's great. You were a slave as a bridge runner, and now you are commanding sort of a guard for the king. You have grown. You have saved the people that you want to save. I nearly said smile. Just smile. That's what women hear all the time. And trust me, it doesn't mean and feel what you think it will. But he just needs to carpe diem a little.
I want you all to capture these thoughts and feelings you're having for Kaladin and just save them. Like, write them down now, okay? All right? And I want you to revisit them as you progress through the series. Okay. Is he getting even sterner, or does he get like laid and the sun shines out of his eyeballs after that? Whatever happens, you'll have this to look back on. Like, Kaladin, you better be getting some. You better be getting some. Yes, Lisa.
I was just going to say, you also have to think about how he was in the first book. Like, He is on the edge. Like he was ready.
Nearly
Literally.
ended it all. Yes.
He is going through a lot of mental health things, and I think just he's constantly going from one thing to another where he's just constantly stressed. Like he's to a point where they're comfortable, but he's still in that like survival mode.
Yeah.
And I think that for him that kind of leads to how people perceive him being like the stick in the mud and no fun, because he doesn't know how to relax.
I will absolutely agree with that. And I'm so glad we had that perspective, because this is someone who has lived oppression his entire life. And Light Eye is looking to him saying, live a little. What have you got to be so mad about or sad about? Like, just lighten up, bro. Like, that makes a lot of sense. This is someone who, that's the reason why he gets up in the morning is kind of revenge, and his game plan in motion, and he's hyper fixated on it. But yeah, I don't think every day is like, I'm so happy to be alive. No, he's in this mess because he got absolutely fucked over by Amaram. Like, he's seething over that. So it makes sense. But Kate was saying earlier that Shallan and Adolin were cutesy, flirting in an organic and natural way. And Kaladin was like, stupid fucking happy people being happy. I hate happiness and live in the darkness of the soul, which it did feel a little bit like that. And he's trying to pull himself out of it, but it's a very difficult thing to unlearn. And if anyone's ever had depression, that is really, really hard, because it becomes your default in a way. And you're like, oh, everyone's like, why don't you just go for a walk? You'll be happy again. And you're like, oh, that's how it works. Off I go. Yes, Tim?
A note on depression, and I apologize if this sounds callous, but I was deep in one, and it turned out that really what my depression was just anger without enthusiasm.
Wow, well said. So what's the cure for that? Enthusiastic anger?
You gotta find something to kind of spur some action.
Purpose.
It's weird because like
helps.
I was super depressed, and then I got angry at the situation I was in enough to do something about it and change it.
And I feel like you read a lot about that. You read a lot about the rock bottom of, I feel like I want to call this rock bottom because I'm so scared to find out what worse than this looks and feels like. And so this is my, enough's enough. I've been having a lot of conversations about this where it's like the longer you enjoy something, the harder it is to enjoy it. And the older that you get, I feel like overall, the more miserable we can become. And I was talking to someone who was just complaining a lot. And this was someone who was like an acquaintance I'd only met like once. And I kind of wrote them off as, if you're just going to sit here and complain the whole time, I don't want to be around that because you're bringing me down. But he kind of checked himself and he said, what's been really helpful for me? I have a 5-year-old child, and seeing their wonderment at every little thing in life has really helped me with my perspective. They are experiencing things for the first time and everything's so amazing and cool. And it reminded me that any experience can be so amazing and cool. And I feel like, I was getting a bit jaded with work, and I had to kind of look around and be like, I'm at the Minecraft junket where they've poured so much money into this being a full experience. And I'm lucky enough to be sitting here enjoying it, about to interview the stars of the movie. How lucky am I? But what I was doing was focusing on like the nuance of how I feel like the digital media landscape has changed for the worse over the last 10 years, and how hard it is to be a freelancer, and especially in the last couple of years. And it's very easy to complain, and it's a lot harder to appreciate. And so I was trying to change the shift on that. And you're right, to bring it back to the book, Kaladin has had a very, I was going to say, dark thoughts, but when you look at the book, I don't know if we can do a better word for that, but it's been really, really difficult for him. So I think this is a really good conversation to have. We were talking about if the Shallan chapters or the Kaladin chapters were better, or you're more preferred, and just how different these characters are from the first book to this book. Vanessa the Porg says, I'm worried for Kaladin. This could definitely be his villain origin story. Whereas Miss Necromancer was saying that Dalinar will have to prove hard to Kaladin that he can be trusted because every Light Eyes who is in charge of him, and this excludes Adolin and Renarin because they didn't hold his leash, have utterly ruined Kaladin's life. And then KP Dub says, are we going to read about Rock's bottom? I'm sure we'd all happily do so. Mike says, apart from Shallan, my favorite characters are mostly side characters. Susie says, by the way, who thinks Kaladin had it coming? What do you mean by that, Susie? Oh my God. I'm going to show you what Academic did. I'm ready to read what this is. Kate says, I'm very intrigued by the screaming of the blade when Kaladin touched the shard blade. We'll get into that. Colleen says, I just read a book where a teenager said she was too old for Avatar The Last Airbender, and I thought, but I love that show. Yeah, it's a brilliant show, and if you've not watched Avatar The Last Airbender, do yourself a favor. So much fun. Manaholic says, hey all, where are we at? So we are talking about everything up to the end of part 3. We've got one more stream after this, which will be full spoilers. But if you're wondering where the chapter stopped, we've just had the big 4v1 shard bearer fight and the slight aftermath of what took place there. But that's kind of it. Yeah, Kaladin just got put into his cell. Don Hugo 8, thank you so much for the follow. Nazumi 08, thank you for the follow as well. And KP Dubs, thanks for gifting a sub to I Am Mikes. How do I say that? Ear Mikes? I Am Mikes? Mikey? How would you like me to refer to you? Manaholic says, started a book in the series, not sure how I'm at. I guess I'm spoiler safe. Let's find out. Eek. Oh, and Countryman, thank you also for the follow, and it's lovely to see you in the chat as well. All right, so let's run through what happened in half of part 2 and part 3. Tin. Do you remember Tin? Tyn. She talks herself into a pseudo-alliance with Shallan, realizes that Shallan has sort of like the power and is ruling the roost here. The way that she did it was so con artistry, though. She was just kind of like, yeah, so you'll be including me in things, obviously. And Shallan, I found it quite interesting. She was like, yeah, I think I will include her. I was like, red flag, babes, red flag. That is, you are being conned. That is a manipulation. When she's telling you, kind of like hinting, yes, I know you're in charge, but you're going to do this, right? You're going to listen to me. You're going to loop me in on this. Mike's is fine. Katie said, I never liked Tin. Neither did I. Academic says, my friend who's reading this for the first time was so invested in Tin's character. Well, what was interesting when you look at tropes in fantasy is that Shallan has lost her mentor. We don't have Yasna anymore. And a lot of the time, the mentor character is the one who's like, you're different. Let me tell you what it's like. Dumbledore with Harry, Obi-Wan with Luke. You were actually part of this whole bigger picture. And, Yasna had started telling her about Patton or about Spren or about this other, what do we call the other universe? It's not a Cosmere yet. It's the
Shadesmar.
Shadesmar, all that kind of stuff. And then she's gone. So what could have absolutely happened is Tin stepping up as a mentor, but instead of learning about her powers and learning about this mysticism, she's learning about how to be a con artist. But it's still this dynamic of mentor-mentee. The cognitive realm. Yes, thank you. A woman-tor. Thank you, KP Dubs. Exactly. R.I.P. Bluth, says Kate, and Academic says justice for Bluth. Are we calling him Bluth or Bluth? Who read it? Who listens to it?
It's Bluth, according to the audiobook.
It's 100% Bluth. But people already in our Words of Radiance chat happening in Discord. And guys, it's a free Discord. Jump on in. The club's open for all. We're talking about how do you say Adolin? Is it Adolin? We have these sorts of discussions, and we're all here as a community to help. Manaholic says, how would you compare story-wise character likeness to a Red Rising person? Actually, the fact that we've done Red Rising, we should be able to answer this one better. I feel that the world building is more of a focus. It's not about a primary protagonist in the case of Darrow. And even though you have other points of view, it's all leading back to Darrow, his journey and his arc. In this instance, you're getting breadcrumbed. I don't know how else to say it. It's a long-winded way of breadcrumbing where you take little nibbles until you realize by the end of the book that you're absolutely sated because you've been eaten well the whole time. Who else wants to tackle that question?
I would say it's definitely slower, like we're more methodically built in Sanderson's books, and character-wise, like it does have somewhat similar story initially with kind of like the dark eyes have to rise up against the evil light eyes to some degree, and they're oppressed like the red, like the Reds are. There's definitely a case society here where there's a lot of oppression.
Yeah.
And so there's that part that's similar, but otherwise it's very different. Like the plot-wise, like Red Rising is very much more heavily dramatic in short bursts. You know, it's like constantly things are happening, and there's constant betrayals. In this book, there's in Sanderson's books, it's more there's stuff that happens, lots of stuff happens, but it's
slower burn. Yeah,
slower burn. Yeah, for sure. So yeah.
Well said. KP Dub's got his claws out and said, instead of the author simply introducing new tech that apparently was there the whole time but not used until book 6, Sanderson had the whole world mapped out from the beginning. Am I hearing that so far you are preferring Stormlight Archives over Red Rising?
Yeah, I enjoy Red Rising, but I'm not giving it the same kind of super high marks that a lot of us in here are. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. It's not my favorite. It's not bad. I enjoy reading them.
I will say, like, reading the Red Rising series and then Stormlight Archives, I'm just so stoked to be a reader. Like, it's such a good time to be a reader. When we read good books, there's nothing worse than a part 1 and a part 2 on a book that I ain't loving. But when I'm loving it and I get to love it with a community and we get to provide different and fresh and unique perspectives on the book. As I like to say, we all read the same words but hear a different story. I think that's my favorite part about all of this. Also, Susie, for the record, just wants to say Ixnay on the Kaladin thing, my bad. I wanted to do that just to clear any air for that. Darren says, I prefer Stormlight Archives to Red Rising easily. You didn't have to say easily. It's just a little stab in the side, bleeding out. Academic says, I love them both. Kate says, I gave up on Red Rising in the series, but I can't wait to read this series. Manaholic says, I see Cassius as Pierce. Oh, don't say that. Ugh. I don't agree. Pierce, having known him, I feel he's like 45% Roke before he went bad. 45% Darrow, maybe 10% Cassius. I'm tempted to know because he thinks that I am Mustang and Victra and Antonia mixed into one, which I still haven't forgiven him for. Also, I won't say this to him, but I'll say it to everyone else. Pierce forgot my birthday.
Gasp.
So that's the Darrow.
Yeah, he was too busy saving the world. And that's my Antonia coming out. Roke didn't go bad. He just showed his true self in the end. I don't think that it's fair to say that was his true self. I think Roke had a really beautiful soul a lot of the time. I think he got burnt time and time again, and the people he loved got hurt, and the easiest thing to do was to blame Darrow for it than to recognize that this is sort of like the harsh reality of what they were facing.
Not just blame Darrow for, we're in a different book somehow.
I know. I even kept it up, says, okay, I didn't mean to sidetrack. Hey, let's talk Stormlight, please. Let's talk Stormlight. No, finish the thought, though. I really want to know.
not to blame Darrow for it, but I feel like he was upset that because he would have been okay with it if Darrow had been honest with him from the beginning. So it was betrayal as well, like heaped onto it. I am curious for those who love Stormlight over Red
Good
Rising.
segue. Good segue.
Are you Grimdark fans or Grimdark haters? Or
Gridmark. I can't read Grimdark. Every time I read Grimdark, I say Gridmark. Yeah. So now that's what the genre is now. I mean, I feel that Mistborn is more grimdark than Stormlight Archives.
But is it more grimdark than
Red Rising? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, Manaholic is now saying, I think I messaged this before, but until book 3, I went onto the DCC forums. I was told it's not a full cast, but just Jeff Hayes. It blew me away. Yes, I think it was 2 books for me before I realized. Because I think I finished the first book. And it was like, and read to you by Jeff Hayes. I'm like, and who else? And who else? Who played Donut? What's her name? Oops. I love some grimdark. Worm is great. All right, I think Kate says, I'm a huge dark, depressing fan. I read extreme horror all the time. I just found Red Rising too YA tropey.
Agreed. I agree with Kate's right there. And that's where I always like, Rising's YA, but you got to get to book 1 to get to the goodness of books 2 through 6. So.
I will say Red Rising is probably the series that elevates from book 1 to book 2 the hardest and fastest. Like, yeah. Okay, so getting back to the conversation, because there's a lot to go on here. During a private conversation with Shallan in Tin's tent, Tin reveals that she plans to trade the deserters to Sadeas and expose Shallan's supposed deception. So I guess the question that I had here is, Tin has no honor. Are we shocked that Tin, who talked herself into surviving, is a piece of shit? You got to call a piece of shit out when they're a piece of shit, and there we go. Who's going to give me all those swears for my swear count? I'll say it again. Tin's a piece of shit. Okay, moving on. During the meeting, though, where Tin is span reading, it is revealed that Shallan's name, they reveal Shallan's name as Yasna's ward, and that Tin sent the assassins after Yasna. Tin then turns on Shallan. Patton distracts her, though, calls the deserters for aid. Shallan fights back and reveals herself to be a shard bearer, killing Tin with her shard blade. My question to you, what was the biggest shock? Was it learning that Tin was behind Yasna's ambush, or that Shallan could summon a shard blade? Neither. Were you shocked at either of them? No.
I don't remember, because this is a reread for me. I don't remember how I felt the first time I read it.
Shallan had mentioned 10 heartbeats like 3 or 4
I know.
times previously.
A lot.
We were waiting for this. So no surprise at all.
So how was the payoff then? Did it feel good? Because this is the first time, except for a Dalinar flashback, that we've seen a woman with a shard blade. Okay, payoff good.
I think it was a good payoff because, like, she was killing someone who thought was involved with the murder of her mentor that she loved. So yeah.
I mean, if the payoff is 10 dying, then yeah, good.
Yeah, good riddance.
Payoff good plus more mystery. Because what? Shardblade? Where from?
Whose? Why? Yes. Where did she get this shard blade?
Was it her brother's blade? Oh, wait, no. We know that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So do all of the brothers have a shard blade? Does the dad know why? Are you selected to have a shard blade? How do you possess it apart from earning it? And when did they earn it? Who did she get it from? Susie says also, what the frack, Tin, you witch, with a B.
Also, now there's unknown tension between Shallan and Kaladin now.
Oh, I love those two little spatty fights. Pantalones80, thank you so much for the follow. We're chatting Words of Radiance up to the end of chapter 58, the end of part 3. Kate says, I can't wait to get to the Shallan flashback so we can find out the answers to the Shard Blade. Yes, okay, let's continue on in the story. So Shallan has a little bit of a pivot here. She orders the deserters to hide Tin's remains and kill off her supporters. So now Shallan is definitely in charge. They've seen that she's got a Shard Blade, so they respect her more than ever, but she knows that that secret is going to get out. The fact that she's holding one? Yeah, you don't shut up about that. Shallan notices that the Spanreed informants are ghost bloods. Now, ghost blood sounds like such a modern gang term.
It's a goofy name.
Yeah, the ghost bloods. I was like, okay. Anyway, they're planning a meeting at the war camps, and she sees an opportunity to discover how much the ghost bloods know. So Shallan, pretending to be Tin, requests to meet with them. Shallan's growth as a character here. I'm saying she's now without a mentor. She's jumping in the deep end. Which is cooler to see with Shallan? Is it the expansion of her powers, because we are learning more and more the light magic that she has to draw and create illusions? She's now a body shifter. I said in the fable, I was like, hello, Mystique. She's literally like becoming other people of her choosing. Sick power. Sick. She's got a Shard Blade. What else? We're learning more things. Her relationship with Patton is unfolding as well. Or is it her blossoming personality? What part is cooler to see? Or is it both?
I like seeing her personality growth for me.
She is backing herself. She's making decisions that I don't even think Patton's guiding her. A lot of the time, Kaladin, he's getting guided so much by Syl. And in this instance, Patton's not really about guidance at all. He is assisting her. He's a lookout. He's a scout. He's able to kind of like help deception with using voice prompts. But she's the one in charge of this plan. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, well, I mean, just her personality, if you just listening to the flashbacks, like she started talking like that with her brothers to kind of pull them out of their funk that they were going in after their mom died. Like she used her personality then to and her wit to get them to kind of
smile,
get back together and smile and be a normal family. And those were some of my favorite parts, is her flashbacks with her brothers, and yeah, her personality coming out and her getting to be witty and you know quick with the comebacks to people is probably the funniest part.
Which is a shock to her brothers, because she was mute for like a while. It had been months since she'd even uttered a word. And I wonder if by being observant, by constantly looking and not speaking, that she's able to kind of develop such a personality, because she's in the, you know, one of the biggest traits that they say is for someone who is smart is to shut up and listen. So I wonder how much that had to do with it. Kate says she's always had a personality, and that personality, it's just that she's been given the chance to let it shine. In her flashbacks, she still has that humor and sarcasm, but she gets pushed down by her father and then society so that she can be a proper lady. Yes, she's definitely always had the wisecracks. There's laugh out loud moments with her. I love that she gets to shine. I think for me, or us, sorry, the reader, we are learning that she's always been like this. But as us, the reader, we haven't really had a chance to see that so much in the first book. Every single time she was quick or witty, she'd shut her mouth, and Yasna was not about it. So she had to hold her tongue. I don't think we were seeing the best version of Shallan, but now, like, I like her as a character so much more. Yes, her character has been like this for a long time, but us, the reader, are only just seeing it fleshed out in this particular way. Mike says her blade may be sharp, but her tongue cuts ever so deep. Yeah, I think that she's like, when she comes up with a plan, I'm like, that's brilliant. Well done. I love when she made the virtue vesture joke and then complained that the boys were too stupid to get it. Kaladin's clutching his pearls over that one. He's like, what do you mean virtue? And she's like, oh, my bad. Yeah, the moments that she has with Kaladin are so fun. But she's I was going to say, she's gloves off. She's one glove off when it comes to Kaladin. That other glove stays very much on the entire time. Yeah, okay. So I think we're all on the same page that we are liking Shallan more and more. Let's talk about
page 394.
The page turning sound. No, I'm going to wait for it every time. So someone better fucking play it because I need the test. Thank you. Yep. Okay, now we've turned too many pages.
Well, we're not doing 394 pages.
Let's talk about this high storm where Kaladin receives a vision of the Stormfather who scolds Kaladin for betrayal before warning of the upcoming threat. Now, upon awakening, Kaladin and Syl sense the assassins approach and then order Dalinar and the royal family to evacuate. What I think is really cool here is we're seeing a dynamic shift. Yes, Kaladin, his dark eyes, he was a slave, but when he says run, no one's asking questions. Dalinar's like, right, if he says we've got to go, we've got to go. Let's pack up and get out of here. The forewarning, foreboding, forebridge. Yes, yes. I wish I had that in my video. That would have been very, very smart. This is when one of the coolest chapters up to this point happens. Now, I read this last week, and remember how I kicked people out who hadn't read further than our cutoff point? This was the chapter I was losing my shit over. Vaden, I believe you muted me, but you saw me talk about this with flailing arms. How was it reading about this fight where Szeth comes back and we discover that he isn't after Elhokar the king at all? His job is to take out Dalinar. And we have a 3v1, Dalinar and Kaladin and Elhokar all trying to take down Szeth, who defies gravity more than the Wicked movies ever could. The fight sequences are bananas amazing, and I love how Brandon Sanderson writes these sequences because I can hear the soundtrack. I can see the angles that this would be shot. I can picture the choreography. Like, you live and breathe these moments of fight and combat.
Yeah, it's super cinematic and like just epic. Like I said, I watched you guys, I watched you, and being very, very animated with your enjoyment of it. And after I read it, I went back and watched that part, so I could see why. But yeah, it was awesome. It was so awesome.
Yeah, like a Marvel hallway fight, says Colleen. Yes, it's action-packed, it's beautiful. Kevin Up says they're all amazing except Adolin. He just lays there on the ceiling like a lump. Yeah, and doesn't he feel like such a hack about that afterwards as well? He hated that he had
He's so mad at himself. Yeah.
He couldn't be on the ceiling.
Yeah, but he's like, what do I do in situations like that? And what I thought was really beautiful was the aftermath of this moment where Adolin and Kaladin are in the training camps practicing because they're like, you and I combined aren't enough for what this guy can do. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And this keeps coming up, actually, like how these alliances and allegiances, I believe, will go. Kaladin and Adolin respecting each other. And then at the end here of this part, Kaladin coming in to defend Adolin and fight alongside him. And how important that was. Shallan learning about the origin of Amaran's shard blade and then realizing that she fucking hates Amaran. You know who else does? Kaladin, real bad. He's in prison now because of it.
Mm-hmm.
My enemy is my friend. And I have an itchy nose. And I wonder how that's going to go. Kate says, Kaladin just breaking everyone's brain like he's Superman with how his arms were destroyed by a shard blade. And then he was fine. And then in the duel, he caught the shard blade and the other guy ran away screaming. Oh.
Yeah, and he didn't even have shard plate, so he was like, it wasn't like when Dalinar did it. It was even more dangerous and scary. He did it anyways.
And it's Zahel, by the way. Remember how last time we thought it was like Zahel? Zyle.
Yeah.
Zyle. That's
Zyle.
it. Zyle. Zyle was saying, you don't ever attempt that move. Like, don't do
It's
it.
a stupid move.
It's the dumbest thing ever because you need to have shard armor because you're catching a blade with your bare hands. Don't do it. Oh, he did it!
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't.
I liked Idolin be like, I knew this guy's arm was cut. Why is it healed? How is that possible?
Yeah,
I was
got
like,
his arm back.
Adolin is perceptive and he's smart about combat, and everybody underestimates him because they think he's just a fighter. But he's perceptive.
He really is. Guys, give Adolin some love where it's due. Because if you won't, I will. Fictional characters are my downfall.
Especially when they're pretty.
Katie says, I love the bromance of Adolin and Cal. Mike says, when I read this, I was just thinking about Mistborn and how they needed to learn some shit quickly. Yes, and the pulling and pushing for that as well, and like how the science, gravity, trajectory, how all of that works as well. Darren was saying that it felt like Inception when they're running on walls. Yeah, it's so cool. Like, it's just cool. And I will say, like, when you look at Brandon Sanderson, cool is not the first word that will come out of my mouth when describing that man. But the shit that he writes in this book is fucking cool. And I'll give him credit for that. And he's got, like, some fun banter and flirting. Like, I was writing some of the things that Shallan was saying. I was writing that down. I was like, that's good stuff, Brandon. Okay. KP Dub says, Kaladin decides he needs to train with shards. Adolin realizes he needs to up his game in case his game gets upped again. Up and overed. Colleen says that Adolin is more than just a pretty face. Kate says, I hardcore ship Cal and Adolin. Ha ha ha. And then says, Maude, ask your next date if he poops his pants. That scene between those two. You know I was laughing my face off. And like the way that it was acted out, actually, Michael Kramer did. Was it Michael Kramer or was it Shallan's point of view? I thought it was Adolin. It was really
Shallan's voice.
It was Shallan's voice. Kate has some really fun reads with things. Like, she brings certain moments to life in a really, really great way. The fact that it was halfway through the sentence before he even realized what she asked, and he answered it like no hesitation. Oh, yeah. So obviously, like, you know, we have to dip out for a little bit, but we're not going to take the plate off, so we absolutely shit in there. In fact, last time I shouted at 3 times. What did you say?
Well, he's talking strategy, and he backs up to the edge of the cliff, so it almost sounds like he's answering the question. He's like, so you back up to the edge of the cliff. Wait, what did you say?
Yeah.
So that's why it was twice as funny.
So good.
Yeah.
But then, like, he kind of lets his guard down a little bit because he's so used to everyone being so proper. I will say the only thing that doesn't check out, the thing I can't believe, is how Adolin has burnt so many bridges. If he gets over it, I understand. Adolin is hot. He is talented. He is, second in command to the king, and he has game. How come he has burnt every bridge?
Well, I mean, that's how he gets people, but we don't know how long it lasts. We don't know how he acts with people once he knows them for a while. So maybe he gets bored quick or something. I don't know.
That's the one missing piece where I'm like,
I think it's a case of the brightest star shines half as long. So it's like all the front end of the relationship and then it fizzles out.
I can understand him getting bored. I mean, is the off-page stuff that we're not hearing about is that he uses them for sex and then gets over them after that? And, like, there's a lot of heartbreak because he is being an absolute player? Like, what is happening here? He was looking at other women when they were on their date. We sabotage ourselves all the time. I think that these other women aren't challenging to him mentally, so he gets bored and self-destructs. Katie says, Adolin's a player. Academic says, baked potato brain strikes again. He's fun.
He was watching, like, the waitress and other people when he was talking to Shallan until she started talking about, asking about his plate and if he ever pooped in it. And that got his attention because she was not like anyone he had ever met before.
Mm-hmm.
So he quit looking at everybody else because he was kind of what?
I do wonder, seeing Kaladin's point of view, observing Shallan, this isn't natural behavior. He is saying that she's incredibly calculated and that nothing's an accident and that she's strategically trying to win him over. So I guess my question is Shallan, no, because we get her point of view and she's getting in a tizzy thinking about his smile. She really, really likes him. She's definitely attracted to him.
Second man she's ever loved.
Is Kaladin reading this accurately, or is he just jaded? Darian?
I think it's half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see so many things where she's like, need to approach him here, need to play hard to get here, but she genuinely does like him, but I think she's just trying to maximize
him falling for her.
Yeah. I think she's just being strategic, but it's not like a ploy or like a con or anything like that.
No, but I think for her, there's no other option for this not to work.
Yeah.
Like this kind of has to work. She needs him for money.
Yeah.
She needs him for access. Yeah.
Stability.
But she is an asset. Like she is making him better. Did she get him into the pickle for doing something spectacular? Yeah.
She's not as calculating as Kaladin thinks. Remember, Kaladin is seeing everything through the eyes of someone who has been repeatedly betrayed by light eyes.
Yeah.
So there's that. Plus, he's looking at her. He's a bodyguard, and someone's already mentioned, oh, this would be the perfect way to
infiltrate,
assassinate someone.
Now, what is really interesting is that Shallan has also had those thoughts. She's like, oh, wow, I can actually just go into this war camp. No one suspects me of anything. I could kill someone if I wanted to. I think that she's kind of recognizing that as well. Mike says, Shallan is so naturally manipulative that I think Kaladin assumes that every act is false, even though her manipulations are based in truth rather than falsehood. What would Patton say about that?
You say, delicious lies.
There is a lie in the truth. Shallan doesn't need money. She has the shard blade, says Toaster Poster. So she needs influence? Yeah. She's still, I think, first and foremost trying to look out for her family. That's what her motivation has been ever from the start. That's what it was when she entered the wardship with Yasna. I think that's what it still pertains to be. She's playing a very clever game, and I think that the betrothal to Adolin is the win that she needs. Yes, KP, and then Vaden.
Well, I think that was her original motivation, but mostly in this book, she seems like she understands Yasna's thoughts that like the Parshendi are the Voidbringers, something is coming. And so she's trying to build up credibility so they'll believe her when she says, "You need to stop doing all this other junk and come together and focus on this real enemy that is right in our midst."
And actually, broaching it with Adolin was really interesting as well. Hey, just casually, not weird at all, but like, would the Light Eyes ever give up the Parshendi? Yes, no, circle maybe, whatever. And he's like, hey, don't bring that up to other people. Like, don't even bring it up. So you're right. I think that she definitely has a new agenda. I think that she's recognized Yasna's truth and that she now needs to continue on with that mission, especially since she thinks that it's almost Yasna's dying wish in that instance. And she has no one else at this stage. She is in the Shattered Plains, doesn't know anyone else, hates Kaladin, needs Adolin. Kate asks if we can talk about Sabariel and Pomona. We can talk about that. Hey, Darian, can you mute when you're not chatting? Is that all right? Thanks, bud. Just if you're not talking, just chuck the mute on. That'd be great. Yes, we can talk about Sabariel. I think it was a really interesting thing that happens where we see Shallan making her way and making moves. So Dalinar kind of accepts that this betrothal is legit. We see Yasna's book with the span read as evidence. And so Dalinar's kind of like, yeah, cool, you can come into our camp. Which is like, I can't do that. No, that's too close. I'm going to play a different game here. But when she's sitting in on this meeting, she makes herself look, was it older and more beautiful? So she changes her appearance in this meeting in a very subtle way, because Sabariel afterwards goes, I thought you were a lot older than you are. What are you, like 17? I thought you were 25. And she's like, ah. So she's changing and manipulating things. She's putting illusions up to be noticed. And she's playing a game here. Now, Pomona is interesting because Sabariel has a mistress and is breaking tradition of not being with a fellow Light Eyes. And I think that Pomona, that is interesting. So I feel like subconsciously, we don't even know if this is true or not, but the place to start with this conversation could be Sabariel. I think Sabariel is the most willing to listen to perhaps an hierarchical upheaval. My Polona. Nice. That'll help us. That'll help us remember it. That's a good one. What did you want to chat about it, Kate? You were bringing that up. Can we talk about it? What would you like to say? Also, I really want to touch on quickly, after the big, awesome cinematic fight, Kaladin recovers the bodies of the guards and he finds Hobba, who was one of the bridgemen that he rescued earlier. He was injured from Zeth's attack and decides to retire him as a military cook. Was this someone that you remembered? Did that have an impact on you at all? Or is this sort of like another moment where he just can't save everyone?
I think it's a moment where he can't save everyone because he fought his hardest and one of his guys fell.
Yeah.
So that will just like add to his, despair.
Mike says, I adore that Shallan uses these subtle illusions. She isn't Mystique becoming someone else, but rather nudging what is already there. Kate chimes in. Sabariel is probably the closest to Shallan in personality and goal. He's a manipulator, just like her. He's been working in behind the scenes and creating a manufacturing empire while the other high princes are chasing gem hearts. Sabariel plays the court game so he can live comfortably with a woman that he loves, even though society says it's wrong. I just loved Sabariel and Polona's dynamic too. You know they've been together for some time if that's how they talk to each other.
Sabariel's manipulation is he lets everyone think that he is less than he is, that he's,
yes,
not
a threat.
Yeah.
A little creepy.
Farts in meetings. So they don't take him seriously. And then he builds this empire, this economic empire, while everybody else is ready to cut each other's throats.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to take note of Sabariel's war camp and what it feels like there compared to Sadeas's war camp, and the difference in safety that Shallan felt, the difference in tension, the difference in how people were even walking to and from things. It just felt like Sabariel's war camp was not like toxic masculinity or looming threat or everyone out to get you.
Or ignorance.
Yeah. And there's just so many things that point to Sadeas not being a good man and Amaram not being a good man as well. Like, Brandon Sanderson's building our villains. And I think that it's like, yes, the looming threat is always there, but God, these guys suck. And you kind of are reminded why Kaladin's eye is on the Amaram's prize. Like, we are reminded about that and how he's a lot more deceptive in his, I nearly said a word I can't say. Whereas Sadeas is more outwardly horrible. But Sadeas as well really does think that he's doing the greater good. He feels like he's saving, is it a kingdom? Is it an empire? He's saving the lands by taking out the threat.
He's like a traditionalist and he doesn't want to see these changes. He's so pessimistic about these ideals that Dalinar is trying to put forward. He's like, yeah, this is going to fail, so might as well just accelerate.
That's it. And he's taking charge. So he's like doing it for the kingdom, but he's also trying to overthrow the king. He's like, this isn't someone that we're in safe hands with. I'm going to do something about it. And you're like, is that really your call? We're going back to Sabariel, has a bit of a sharp tongue himself. He made a few cracks about the prince in the meeting, says KP Dubs. Baden says there's also that Graves guy who's a part of the group and wants to assassinate Elhokar. He's with the Dark Eyes as well. Yes. Kate says Sabariel is the very other side of the coin compared to Sadeas. Sadeas says that he's working for the future of the kingdom, but Sadeas is thinking more short term. Sabariel's actually playing the long game. Sadeas thinks he'll be on top, but Sabariel will quietly be the last one standing. Wallander, thank you so much for the follow and for using your Prime. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. Join the Discord. It's just more of a discussion that we have on the books that we're covering, and you can get the schedules and make sure you don't miss out. But lovely to have you here. Thank you. Wallander's talk. Wait.
Oh no, sorry. Is it possible Sabariel is Graves? Because like Kaladin won't really know, and Sabariel has a dark-eyed mistress, and they talk about Graves having a dark-eyed companion or married a dark-eyed. Is it possible?
I don't think so, but I love that we're asking questions that people aren't who they seem, because now that we've kind of understood that Shallan can use her spren to change shape, I'm wondering, I said this in the fable, I think that Wit could be that as well, which is why Wit is all of a sudden the horse and carriage driver, and then all of a sudden it's someone else. I don't know. Something's going on there. Wallander was talking about Mike's comment about Shallan using subtle illusions. She's not Mystique becoming someone else, but rather nudging what's already there. And Wallander says, I actually think it's the complete opposite. The illusions that Shallan creates for herself, Veil especially, are what she needs to be, but isn't at all. I do agree that she can become someone else, but she even notes herself that they're all a version of her. Like, who Shallan is always shines through. Mike says, I think that if Sabariel were to bond a spren, it would be similar to Shallan, but that he's too content in his skin for that to be an option. He doesn't need to grow like Shallan. And Kate wants to remind everyone, to be fair, they are all correct that Elhokar sucks as a king. I mean, that's the thing. They're not wrong. He's not great. Darren says Sadeas was one of Gavilar's biggest supporters in the unification of Alethkar.
He really cares about the kingdom.
That's what he believes. Yes.
He was one of the main sort of supporters of Gavilar to go and fight. It was Sadeas, Dalinar, and Gavilar, who were the big three in that group that fought to reunify and form the singular kingdom.
Yes, and it said that Gavilar was the glue that kept the peace between Dalinar and Sadeas. Now, Sadeas didn't like the spiral that Gavilar had when Gavilar started getting the visions and started thinking about reforming the Knights of Radiance. Radiant Knights. I sound like Patton when I do that. Gavilar.
Radiant. The Knights Radiant.
Knights Radiant. So the Parshendi had to get rid of Gavilar because he was getting visions to reform the Knights Radiant. Dalinar is now getting these visions, and the Parshendi via Szeth is trying to kill Dalinar to stop the forming of the Knights Radiant. What did we think about the hiring of Amaram as the first person to become a Knights Radiant? That's some bullshit, and we all know it. Amarama ding dong.
That was one more thing that made Kaladin feel betrayed by
Yes.
Light-Eyes.
He said, hey, Dalinar, just as a quick aside, the reason why I was branded a slave is because I was actually a soldier in Amaram's army, and I killed a shard bearer, and I technically, rightfully obtained the shard blade. And Amaram would not allow that. And instead of letting me and my rite of passage keep the shard blade, he killed my entire squadron, beheaded all of them, and only left me alive because I saved his life. He's not a good man. And Dalinar's like, leave it with me. I'll ask him. I'll talk to him about it. Kaladin's like, you can't talk to him about it because he's going to deny it. What he did was shady. You have to believe me. Aren't we bros now? Don't you believe what I've been saying? And then what happens? Kaladin's like, I should have just said nothing. I can't trust a Light-Eyes. I don't even know if I can trust Dalinar anymore. I have to take this into my own hands. Who else has that mantra? Moash with Elhokar. Sadeas with Elhokar. Like, Kaladin in the same breath says, Moash, stop trying to assassinate the king and stop meeting about this. Stop making revenge fuel you into making bad decisions and taking it into your own hands. Hold that thought, though, because I'm just going to go and rush Amaram. I just see him and I'm going to kill him because I didn't like what he did to me and I have to take this into my own hands. So don't do that. But then watch me do the exact same thing and not differentiate that this is hypocrisy at its finest. KPW says, it was cool when Kaladin said something along the lines of, yeah, go ahead and try to put me in a cell. Yes, Faden?
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, like, he was definitely hypocritical, and it's happened a few times with Shen not giving him a spear until near the end. And a number of cases, like, he has trouble, for sure, getting outside of his head. He's very, very, like, stuck in his own internal mentality about what he needs to do, and he often forgets.
He's trying to do his best, though.
He is. He's a good person. He is not the most. He doesn't see the forest for the trees. You know, like, he's very much kind of narrow-minded at times. But yeah.
Warlander, it's so funny going, ooh, it kind of sucks having a discussion like this with the knowledge of all 7 books. Has there been a duel discussed or read yet? We have read up to the end of chapter 58, and what's just happened is a 4v1 showdown with shard bearers with Adolin, and that ended, and Kaladin is in jail, end of chapter. So that's where we're up to at the moment. I want to talk about the end of part 2 with Ashone. Now, I'll be honest, these chapters are not sinking in the way that I want to with me because it is such a breakneck change of perspective and information and all of that I'm like barely absorbing it. But the notes say, Eshonai departs Narak, confronts the High Storm for the first time, and plans to obtain the power of the Storm form by freeing it. Without prevention from the Rider of the Wind about the Spren's hostility, the Storm form strikes Eshonai with the red lighting, causing her to transform. The next morning, Eshonai returns with her new form and addresses a large crowd about her betrayal from Stormfather. With the new form granted by the Spren, Eshonai claims to her people that they have a chance to fight back despite her voice screaming in her head. My notes said I got nothing. I got nothing. So someone A needs to explain what the fuck happened to me, and B, my question to you is, what do you make of this? And how does this change your perception of the Parshendi and what we are learning about the law of Spren? Who wants to take my hand and guide me through that? Yes, KP Dubs.
Well, this is just my theory, but I got the impression that she was trying to transform into some sort of a storm form.
Transform into the storm form. Yes. Yep.
Which would somehow make her an even greater fighter, control the winds, whatever, help her people in the war. But instead, sort of got possessed by this red lightning spren. So it's not her anymore. It's just a passenger in her own body.
Oh, shut
and
up.
That's why when she met with Dalinar, it wasn't her, it was the spren being like, basically like, screw off, dude. We're gonna kill you. And so that it trashed the peace talks and everything. So
yeah.
We don't know what's gonna happen.
Shit hit the fan. They were like, haha, kidding. We're not going to listen to any peace talks anymore. Show up with your best man. By the way, we got a lot more numbers than you thought we do. Peace. Got it. Okay. Kate says she can hear the screaming when she takes this form, just like Kaladin with the sword. We're going to get into that big showdown. I want to spend quite a bit of time on that because it's my favorite part of the book so far. So much so I did a TikTok video about it. But let's chat about part 3. After suffering injuries from Zeth's attack, Adolin struggles to regain his fighting ability while Navani devises an observation platform for archery. Arriving at the Shattered Plains, Shallan travels towards the Kholin war camp along with the deserter slaves and Yasnar's items with the new palanquins gifted by the travelers. With Gaz and Vatar as assistants, Shallan enters the palace and learns about the High Prince meeting. Oh, we've already done all this. We've done it. My bad. My notes are so funny. Shallan spends time with Adolin for her betrothal. Me. I am smitten kitten for these two. The Ghostbloods, that whole meeting as well where she transforms into Vale. The Ghostbloods instruct Shallan to infiltrate Amaram's camp, believing that he knows secrets about the Parshendi and the Shattered Plains. Shallan manages to record the entire file, maps upon maps upon maps, information. Amaram is building a goddamn army and information, and he's doing it in secret. Upon meeting Amaram, she recognizes Amaram's Shardblade and learns that her eldest brother, Helleran, was killed in battle. Or was he? Because we know what Amaram does to collect Shardblades. He said it was in self-defense, described her brother to the T. What's going on here? I wrote in my notes, we didn't need another reason to hate Amaram, but now we're dealing with the enemy of my enemy is my friend, with Kaladin. So I don't know if they'll ever talk, but we're getting more of a motivation. Shallan hates Amaram because Amaram killed her brother and took the Shardblade. So she's like, right, what is this academic?
We know how Amaram got his Shardblade, right? This is not new information to us.
No, his point of view on it though. I thought it was only his point of view where he said that someone basically attacked him and it was self-defense and he had to handle it, but the way that he handled it was breaking this guy's face into oblivion that no one could recognize him afterwards.
Right, but Shallan knows that it's her brother's Shardblade.
Yes.
We know that the reason why Amaram has a Shardblade is because of Kaladin. So I think the right inference to make is that Kaladin is the one who killed Shallan's brother. And
I didn't put that together.
Yeah, Ken mentioned it. Well, and
how
did you not?
That was the story that he fabricated. But that's who was up against Amaram.
Yeah.
So Kaladin was on Amaram's side.
Yeah.
Good use of sound for that one. So Kaladin, I have to rewrite my notes because I'm like, they're going to get along with each other because they both hate Amaram. No, Kaladin killed Shallan's brother in war. In
defense for Amaram.
Hold on, how? Shallan's brother was on Amaram's side? No, fighting against. Why were they fighting against?
Great question.
Why were they fighting against? Do you know?
The messenger in the tree or somebody had hinted that Helleran was in Alethkar now, so he must have joined up with some prince's army, and that prince was fighting against Amaram. That's all we really can infer at this point.
Oh my god, it's insular bickering bullshit?
Yeah, I guess like all those skirmishes among the nobility. Like, I mean, you used to have that in Europe like centuries ago, just tiny little battles for no reason.
And then KP Dub says, and he made up the story to Dalinar. Amaram was using the time to practice with the blade to get rid of witnesses and then to bribe 17 new witnesses. Holy shit. Because Alethkar lame lords were constantly fighting over land since Elhokar was at the Shattered Plains. Oh, wow. Toaster Poster says, you killed my brother. Prepare to die. Whoa, okay. Thank God we spoke about that. I was like just so focused on Amaram being a dick that I did not piece together the origin of that one, and it's the same freaking. KP Dub says, these books are a lot. It's easy to miss a lot. That's why we check in. I think I read that in Fable as well, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe that's something I'm. Oh, there you go. Okay. Whew. Kaladin is continuing his training with the Bridgemen to improve the patrol unit. Moash reveals his past and the resentment towards Elhokar, blaming the king for the death of his grandparents. Moash invites Kaladin to visit the conspirators for privacy, and Graves, the leader of the assassins, insists that they are patriots determined to stabilize Alethkar by removing Elhokar from the throne due to his lack of leadership. Now, same people as the Ghostbloods? No. They're separate. Ghostbloods on one side. What are the Ghostbloods trying to do? What's their motivation? We don't know. Okay. I just got the most dramatic from Academic.
Ghostbloods are trying to kill Yasna for some reason.
Okay, so anyone who's got information about the Parshendi. So the Ghostbloods are on the same team as Szeth, or whoever's controlling Szeth, and they're the ones who are killing all the people in leadership positions. So they're the ones causing hierarchical uprising, unrest. All these kings are getting killed. All these princes are getting killed. That's the Ghostbloods. Got it. Okay, that's clicking into place. So who is Moash? That sounds like it's a Sadeas thing. Sounds like it's Sadeas's woman spies. No, these aren't the spies that are working for Sadeas's camp.
I guess Moash could be completely being played, but like Moash should hate Sadeas, right?
Yeah. The ideology Graves is putting forward wouldn't be something Moash would endorse. So
I would like
within conspiracies.
I would like a glass of wine. Bloody Brandon Sanderson. Okay. So the assassination attempts were from Moash, though. He has been trying, pathetically, to kill the king. Kate, you said that was a red herring, but this is actually Moash trying to do something.
The red herring was, I think, when I was speculating that Elhokar was sabotaging his own railing and stuff.
That was another one. Yes. The Ghostbloods and the Parshendi seem to want to prevent the return of the Knights Radiant. Dalinar, now as Gavilar before, wanted to bring them back to stop the upcoming devastation. Yes. Kate says, like our current political climate, the king has a lot of enemies who hate him for different reasons. Academic is saying, I love the speculation at this part. And Warlander says, hashtag fuck Moash.
There are so many groups right here.
Yeah.
Like, who's with who and are we they together? Oh, this is the best part of these books. Continue.
Susie says, by the way, in honor of the 3-part book club, I had got a Hobbit hole house fireplace ambience on. Oh, I love that. Mike says, I had to check the chapter was right, but I'm shocked that we haven't mentioned Kaladin saying the cool thing that everyone loves to quote. Oh, we're there. We're getting there. It's just at the end and we're going in chapter order. So we're getting all the other stuff out of the way so we can talk about that one quote, which I love. All right, we have Kaladin's montage of learning how to lash. Something I do want to mention really, really quickly. Oh, one, discuss the hypocritical nature of Moash's argument against Elhokar and then Kaladin's against Amaram. I kind of got that off my chest already. But the next thing that I thought is Moash deferring and not taking Kaladin's order. Will this spark the beginning of unrest for the Bridge 4 crew?
I don't know, because I feel like maybe it would have, but because he's now imprisoned, like I think people are gonna unite around him. especially because they're probably going to feel like it was undeserved. So I think he'll be fine.
Well, Kaladin's also saying, hey, reminder, I am in charge. When I say no, I mean no. So we'll see what happens there. Excuse me. Darcy. I thought Andy Weir's writing would be better. Okay, hold on. I got Darcy my brother onto Project Hail Mary. I thought Andy Weir's writing would be better too. Oh, all right. You're wrong. Wrong. Maybe that's for the Martian. I don't know. Discuss Kaladin's frustration about not being perfect at something in the first attempt. Now, this really struck out to me because I remember a roommate that I had like 7 years ago said he didn't want to try something new because if he was bad at it, there would be so much shame behind it. There was this very sort of dude thing where if you're going to try something, you'll only do it if you know you're going to be great at it. Does anyone else experience that?
My 6-year-old daughter definitely experiences that.
If she's not going to crush it the first time, she doesn't want to make an attempt at all?
Yes, she's been getting out of this habit, but yeah, like that's a thing that I see. It's not just her. I feel like a lot of kids have this sort of mentality, depending like on who they are, right?
A lot of adults as well. It's the fear of failing. And I will say, like, one of the best things that we can do as a person is fail because it's the fastest way to grow. And I think when you do fail and there's shame around failing to the point where it stops you from even trying, that's when you lose the hardest. But I do think that was so interesting. I still remember like talking to my friend and it was either a sports game, it was something. And he's like, no, I can't do that. And I was like, why not? And he's like, well, what if I'm bad? I was like, then you're bad. You can only get better. And it's like, no, I can't face the fact that I wouldn't be good at something on the first attempt. I'm just trying to think of something that I tried that I wasn't good at. Hell, I'm on a softball team. I'm shit. I'm really shit at the sport. I barely hit that ball. I look like a wounded flamingo trying to run to first base. But I find the things that I am good at and focus on that, which is team morale, getting everyone's walk-up song playing when they go up to bat so that they're better. I'm the bard of the group. You're not putting me in the front line with the bat because it won't hit, but I will buff my team. Inspire my team. Are you KP Dubs? KP Dubs. At least you're hanging your head in shame. Maude, you saying you can't get to first base? Not every time. And it's really difficult. You really have to put in a lot of effort and connect the ball with the bat.
Strike out.
And what sucks is even if I do hit that ball, it's straight into someone's glove. And like they don't have to move. They're like, plunk, got it. And you're like, uh-huh. The worst part is, and this comes back to the conversation, even if I hit it straight to a person, I still have to run as fast as I can, knowing that they're going to catch it. But if they drop it, which has happened, you have to. So that's running into failure. It is knowing that someone's likely going to catch that ball, but you have to book it. You have to take off as if they maybe won't catch it. And that is pretty humiliating to do. I will say that. But you know what? Yeah, someone's dropped it. You know what else has happened? They didn't catch it on the full, and as they were going to throw to first base doesn't catch it. That's also happened. So there are times when they're so shit that I get to first base. So there you go, KP Dubs. I only land first base if they're really shit. Yes, Vaden.
So like one of monitoring in game development and other things also is like it's called fail faster, because the idea is literally is embrace the fact that you're going to fail. Like just get your failures out of the way, do prototypes and whatever you're going to do, any game mechanics or whatever ideas you have, throw them out there, no matter how bad it might be. Just because the faster you try them, the faster you can see what works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
So fail faster.
And you have to try for trial and error.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to try. Kate says, or if they real shit their armor. True. Vanessa says, this softball talk is so triggering for me. Lol, I'd love to learn why. Ghost Tech says, just finished the Stormlight Archives earlier this month. So good. We are up to the 4v1 duel that takes place when Adolin slips up and doesn't say specifics. And then really cool shit happens. Susie says, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Where's Steve Rogers for the bad language part when you need him? Lol. Not in Australia. That's for sure. That's why he's called Captain America.
Language.
We have him there. It's right there. We literally got the soundbite for it. Respawn says, I mean, finished. It's just the first 5 books. Oh, I know. I know. They sent me the copies of the first 5 books, and I cheekily read the last page of the last book, and it said the most devastating thing ever. We're just getting started, pretty much. We're just getting started. Apologies for my language. Okay, so let's talk about the goal. Adolin is trying to goad High Princes into duels so that he can win all of their shard plate, shard armor, shard swords, and weaken everyone else. So that's the goal. Turns out Adolin, really good at combat, really good in dueling, has been holding back by just how good he is. So he has been goading and baiting a lot of people to try and duel against him. This time round, though, he's challenging a fuckknuckle and says, I'll go up against you and whoever else you bring.
It's a trap.
Thinking, and I got absolutely fooled by this as well, thinking within the confines of whatever rule structure, it could only be one other person. And even then, you're like, Adolin, 2v1, whew, that's ballsy. He shows up with 3 others, and one of them is Adolin's friend. That's pretty horrible to find out that he was nice to your face. And even though, like, earlier in the book, what's his name? Jazika or something? Even though he was like, hey, I really like you as a person, but, like, we can't hang publicly anymore. You know that, right? Your reputation's, like, so bad that we can't actually publicly hang out anymore. Well, he got enlisted because he's a very, very good duelist, a very good fighter, to fight as one of the 4 shard bearers in this duel. One of them doesn't have a blade, so easy peasy. Yeah, one of them brings a hammer instead. Oh, Billy Sunrider, thank you so much for resubbing for 12 months. Happy 1 year. My aunt reads the last page of every book before she reads it. I try not to do that. Sometimes I can't help it. You can't do that in audiobooks, though. Respawn says Warbreaker is a good standalone that I would suggest before Stormlight Archive. Too late. We're already into the second book. Kate says
This is my preferred time to read Warbreaker, right between book 2 and book 3. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Kate says the Forge Shard Bearers, 4 jerks, and they bribed a judge as well. So Sadius is coming at this from every angle. Sadius is making sure that this doesn't work. I am not so accustomed to Brandon Sanderson's writing. I think I'm so used to Pierce that I'm like, oh, this is going to go so badly. Someone's going to die. Another person's going to have their face beaten in. Like, I was for sure thinking that Adolin would be maimed and Renarin would be killed. Thank you, Pierce, for making me distrust any good thing ever. But Dalinar, I think this is a huge eye-opener for Dalinar. So he's recognized that Sadius is really playing a below-the-belt thing here, and that it's at the cost of his kids, and that this was supposed to be a duel. It was supposed to not ever hurt anyone. It was just merely supposed to win shard plates and shard blades, but this is going to end badly. And Dalinar looks around saying, by the rules, we can actually get 2 more people into the duel to slightly, hopefully, even the odds for this. And he looks at Amaran, who's like, I'm not I'm not putting my shard blade forward, so you can lose that too. Sorry. And I think Dalinar is kind of seeing Amaram not be as loyal and decent as he is led to believe. No one else is stepping up to do this fight. And Dalinar screams. He looks around to this like stadium and he screams, "Do you have no honor? Where is the honor? Like, this is dishonorable. There is no honor with what Sadeas is doing, and like watching my son get beaten up, and my other son who is too busy in the books to even be able to lift a weapon half the time. Like, this is going to end really badly. Who, like, is there no honor?" And Kaladin steps up and he's like, "Honor is dead, but I'll see what I can do." Oh, what a moment. I was screaming at this stage. It was so cool. Kaladin does not have a shard blade. He does not have armor. He is going in with a spear, and that's it. Now, we are a book and a half deep, and we know that you don't go up against someone who's wearing shard armor or has a shard blade. You don't. Kaladin survived once, which is unheard of. He didn't even get to keep the blade. But he already killed one in full plate. Yeah, but it was like unheard of. Like, he survived it once and that was lucky. There's no way it could happen again. But other people have not been privy to his Rocky montage, pun intended, literally climbing those rocks upside down. Kaladin's moment of lashing and breaking his legs, kicking that one guy, and then healing himself, which was a bit slower than what he'd anticipated. But this guy catapults himself and breaks the shard plate. Like, what an entrance. Now, looking out into the stadium, the Dark Eyes are losing their collective shit over this. They've never seen anything like it. And it's always been interesting in the previous duels how the Light Eyes took it, because they thought that Adolin was being a bit bratty and brutish with it all. But seeing Kaladin come in here, sans blade and plate, and literally kicking ass and taking names. Like, what a thing to watch. And I think that's really important. Warlander says, to be fair, any non-surge binder stepping in there without a plate, they just died. Oh, yeah. So that's the thing. So when he was saying, is there no honor? There was no time to put on any shard armor. There was no time to do it. So you would have had to have entered without plate. And there was no way that anyone was going to do that in a stadium with 4 people in shard plate and 3 out of 4 of them having blades. So, yeah, that's the thing. And, like, Brandon always presents an argument that you can't fault. Should Elhokar be king? No. Does Sadeas have a leg to stand on in that argument? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? No. So it's like every time something's up for a discussion, like you see both sides. So you understand why Amaram wouldn't go up there. But Amaram, we know, has been privy to this from the start. Amaram's absolutely clued in with how this was supposed to go down, and he was supposed to be a bystander. He was supposed to watch, and he was supposed to, with good reason, say no. KPW says Renarin helped too. Yep. Renarin, who has never been a warrior and very scholarly, jumps in sans plate with a blade and barely takes on one person. It's mainly a distraction. But then Adolin hears one of them whisper, if you don't go down and if we don't win this, we're going to kill your brother. Like, your brother's entered the ring. He's a liability and we're holding him hostage now. So Adolin's freaking out. Kaladin comes in, takes care of one of them pretty much straight away. Goes back to back with Adolin. You know that meme where it's like both? And I think it's from one of the what's that movie that it's from? What's them?
El Dorado?
Yeah. Both. That's how I pictured Kaladin and Adolin. Back to back, trying to fight them all off. KPW says, yes, the back-to-back move was so good. I think that this is a defining brotherhood moment between Kaladin and Adolin, who always had a bit of animosity, have gained respect during the last battle, but this Kaladin to come in and save Adolin like this is huge. Even though he didn't know when to shut up, which we'll get into because I think that was a really pivotal moment as well. Now, something happens with Renarin where this didn't really make sense. He drops the blade and exposes his neck. But then something happens and the guy who's about to kill Renarin shrieks, can hear a screaming noise. In Fable, I wondered if that was Renarin doing it. Oh, it's Patton. That's what Patton did? Why did Renarin drop his blade? He was holding it, he dropped it. Why didn't he fight back? Why did he stop and give up and expose his neck? Yes, Colleen.
Renarin has epilepsy.
Oh, he was having a fit.
I'm pretty certain he's also on the autism spectrum. The two sometimes go together. And so it's not just that he spends too much time reading, it's that he also has these other things that set him apart. And as for the screaming, I think that's going to get explained much, much, much later.
If that's Patton, that makes sense because Shallan sends Patton off and Patton goes running into battle. Yes, KB Dubs and then Academic.
Yeah, so Shallan says, Patton, I don't know what you can do, but get in there and do something, distract him. And then there's just one, it's like one quick throwaway line where Kaladin looks over at the guy facing Renarin and he's like slashing his sword at the dirt. Then Kaladin goes and the guy turns around and faces Kaladin. Patton was doing something. The guy was like, what the hell is this on the ground or something? I don't know what.
Right. Okay,
and at that moment, Syl goes, wait, what is that? And takes over there too.
Yes. Oh my God. In my head, I thought Renarin, because he was so into the books, he'd like untapped some sort of spell or a scroll of screaming or something. That's where my brain went. But yeah, you're so right. Why did he drop the blade? He has epilepsy. There's every chance that he'd had a fit in that particular time. There was a lot of tension. He's not in control. That would have been... He could have been incredibly, what's the V word that I'm looking for? Not volatile for it. He's primed to have a fit in those circumstances. So that makes sense why that didn't work. Hard to not spoil. Academic?
Me too.
Thank you, Vaden. I'm pretty sure Renarin said that their voices or their screaming that was happening right then. And so also I'm a little confused what Renarin reading what? I don't think Renarin reads because man.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting dudes can't read.
He's bookish but can't read.
How do you be bookish if you can't read? He just likes pictures. Okay. Glyphs. Okay. I don't know. I thought Renarin had like some sort of radiant power that we weren't aware of. Because like Kate said, Renarin is so much braver than the other high princes. He didn't care if he wasn't in armor. He just wanted to help. And they all looked down on him.
That's his brother. He's got to put down for his brother. Yeah.
Yes, Lisa?
Well, I'm just a little confused.
Yeah.
Did Renarin hear the screams, or was it just the guy and Kaladin? Because I thought what I heard, because I just listened to it like right before the show, was Kaladin came over to help him. The guy swung his blade and Kaladin caught it.
Yes.
And that's when they heard the screams.
No,
it was when Kaladin was touching the blade.
But Renarin also said it.
Renarin.
It wasn't Renarin. It was the guy who was attacking Kaladin, the holder of the blade.
Yeah.
Him and Kaladin heard the screams.
I think we got to go back because I think Renarin also said something about like something was so loud or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and read it because I must have missed that part because all I've heard was the screams with Kaladin.
Kaladin and his attacker, who ran from the arena and basically gave up when he ran out of there. That's how he forfeited.
Being on the spectrum, a lot of things would seem too loud for Renarin, though. So it might not have been the scream. He might have heard that, but just he could have just been overstimulated.
Okay, I've got the page. Surrender, Kaladin said. This is bottom of page 671. Trying to run faster, summoning every drop of energy from muscles that felt drained, exhausted from being inflated by stormlight. The lad focused on Release, who was bearing down on him but said nothing. Instead, Renarin dismissed his blade. That's what, dismissed his blade. Didn't drop it. Dismissed. That's what I'm picking up on. Relis skidded to a stop, raising his blade high over his head towards the defenseless prince. Renarin closed his eyes, looking upward as if exposing his throat. Kaladin wasn't going to arrive in time. He was too slow compared to a man in plate. Relis hesitated, fortunately, as if unwilling to strike Renarin. Kaladin arrived. Relis spun around and swung at him instead. Kaladin skidded to his knees in the sand, momentum carrying him forward a short distance as the blade fell. He raised his hands and snapped them together, catching the blade, screaming. Why could he hear screaming? Inside his head? Was that Syl's voice? It reverberated through Kaladin. That horrible, awful screech shook him, made his muscles tremble. He released the shard blade with a gasp, falling backward. Relis dropped his blade as if bitten. He backed away, raising his hands to his head. What is it? What is it? No, I didn't kill you. He shrieked as if in great pain, then ran across the sands and pulled open the door to the preparation room, fleeing inside. Kaladin heard his screams echoing inside the hallways there long after the man vanished. Okay, Relis? What is it? What is it? No, I didn't kill you. Who's you? Who's you? Was Patton somewhere where he heard a particular voice that he can emulate? Warlander said, also someone whispered to me. Oh, there's whispering. I don't know where you can find that. I don't know. Miss Necromancer, I don't think he was having a fit or anything. Yeah, that's what I didn't get Garner either. He dismissed his blade. Very crucial choice of words. I think he was looking up at Syl or Patton or another Spren. I think that Renarin is more than meets the eye. Respawn said, at this point in the books, do we know what shard blades are? They're blades. They're swords that can be summoned if you own a blade. I mean, if you drop your blade, it normally just disappears. You have to really focus on it to not disappear. Yeah, they were doing that in their training sessions. He's so freaked out that he leaves, says Vanessa the Porg. Both Kaladin and Relis heard the screams.
And Kaladin asks, is that scream in Syl's voice? Now, we know Syl hates the shard blades.
Yeah.
When Kaladin touched the blade,
it was Syl screaming?
That's what he's like, I hear screaming. Is that Syl's voice as he's holding the blade? So is touching the blade somehow hurting her? I know that she's mentioned that the Spren feel betrayed by the Knights Radiant. Maybe touching the blade is somehow a source of trauma.
Cause her to scream.
And
Warlander says Relis, though, heard the screams from his blade just as Kaladin touched it. So there's something going on there. Kate says Syl always talks about blades being evil. Patton also said that they aren't a miracle. What if a shard blade is a crystallized spren? Fuck. I'm not ready for that, if that's it. Mike says, we don't know, but I'd guessed at this point. What? Anyway, what happens afterwards? Well, after Elhokar gives Adolin a boon. Adolin invokes the right of challenge against Sadeas. Kaladin, however, is like, and for my boon. Now, Kaladin, does he know that he wasn't ever warranted a boon? Or is he seeking an opportunity?
He's shooting a shot.
He's shooting a shot. Kaladin uses his boon to challenge Amaram, accusing him of treason. An enraged Elhokar has Kaladin arrested. Sadeas escapes before they can set a date. He accepts the challenge and says, in a year. So he knows what he's doing. And Sadeas knows shit's going to go down in that year. So he's basically putting it off completely. Dalinar is furious at Kaladin for doing this. He's like, you knew the plan the whole time. You have been privy to every step of this. You have just completely ensured that we're not going to get what we want from this, and you're not going to get what you want from this. You have challenged someone way above your station and rank. That is unacceptable behavior, and it's lucky that you're only just going to prison, which you will do. That is an order, soldier. You should be executed. What were you thinking? Toaster Poster says, I face-palmed when Kaladin made his challenge. Vaden says, that part felt bad because Sadeas just wormed his way out and Kaladin didn't get one. Made the boons seem pointless. All that for naught. Although they did collect 4 shard plates and 3 shard blades.
Yeah, it was.
That's a pretty good win.
Yeah, but it's like they get talking about how the riot challenge is some super important thing. Like, oh, you have to honor this, and like, nope, didn't have to honor the for one person and another person. We're just let them choose one time. The other person who's taking a challenge take whatever they want. They should have been.
It's almost like it's unfair.
Yeah, I know. It's almost. Of course, I still believe.
And Colleen makes a great point because Kaladin doesn't understand society. KPW says as much as Kaladin loses respect for Dalinar, Dalinar was totally defying the king to defend him. Yeah. Mike's, and I think that Dalinar is kind of not as trusting of Amaram after that. Like, he said no. Dude said no. That's his right-hand man. Mike says the boons are useless because, as Kaladin said, honor's dead. Honor is dead. Warlander says, I've read the duel part about 10 times now, and I always have to skip this, and for my boon. There's systemic lightism, says KP Dubs. I don't think we talked about Amaram being a storm reader or whatever he is, says Vaden. Okay, he's got maps. He has information. He knows about the Parshendi, but what does he know? He's a storm warden. What does that mean? Who can explain, without spoiling a book, up to this point, what we know about storm wardens?
I don't think it's a spoiler. No, it's not really described here, but it's also not a spoiler to just say like what they're generally for.
Yeah.
Like they are men scholars who also aren't ardents, and their goal is to sort of predict like when storms are coming, specifically high storms.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We know that that's there. Who was studying? Someone was studying to read when storms were coming. Oh, Shallan's brother. She gave him mathematic equations to learn about being a storm warden. Got it. Okay. Oh, Warlander says, let's not forget Zael as well. They're afraid of you, kid. Show them why. Beautiful moments there when Adolin is panicking. He doesn't have his lucky charm. He feels like he's getting cornered. And Zael, whose voice resonates like above everyone else's, is just bringing Adolin to life with these, hey, they're afraid of you, kid. Show them why. That was a beautiful moment there. Zael is such a wonderful grumps as academic. Yeah, look, that whole part was just beautiful. The questions that I had after this is Kaladin creating an uprising with the Dark Eyes? Kaladin's revenge clouds his position. His resentment costs him and Dalinar the chance to get Sadeas. What will Amaram do after this? And what are we learning about Shallan's past? We had quite a few throwbacks that we haven't really talked to here.
Ooh, just to add to this, in the interstitial, Zael knows that Kaladin has a spren about him, and that's just, he's another one who just knows there's a spren about with Kaladin. So he's sensitive to that. Is that something we need to know about academic?
What?
No, it's just like saying how Zael knows about the spren, like how Syl is attached to Kaladin. He can't see her, but he senses her. It's like,
but like so is
something special about Zael. Yeah.
Is there something special about Rob, right? Like, so it's already been established that there are people in this universe that for some reason can see the Mafaliki or as Rock calls the little gods, right? So
Yeah.
there probably is something special there, but like I don't know if there's dials any more important than Rock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rock and his friend too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
and Rock met Hoyd in his story. That was clear.
And Wit showing back up. Everyone knows who Wit is. Like, what is going on? We haven't seen him in a hot minute either. The last time was in the last book. Keep It Up says, don't take Rock for granted. Also, Warlander, we are not snippy at others in this community. We are nice. Stay nice. I can get snippy, but I feel like I'm fair game. You just have to expect it back from me. Sometimes too much. All right, homework, finish the book. We got parts 4 and 5 to read. And if you're listening to the book, it's about 10. Wait. I'm listening to 1.8. If you're listening to the book at 1 speed, don't. You have 16 hours and 40 minutes. We are reconvening in 1 week. That's too much. So 1.7, it's still like 10 hours. What I'm trying to say is you no longer have weekend plans. If you have a family, no, you don't. If you have children, no, you don't. If you have a job, think about quitting. Okay, that's not so bad. KP Dubs is showing me how much is left of the book. That's not so bad. If as an entire group, we need to push it back a little bit because no one's finished, you let me know. That's what the Discord is for. Let's keep a very open dialogue of how we're going with it all. I'd like to commend KP Dubs, who did an all-nighter last week. Was it this week? Saturday? Friday? Did a goddamn all-nighter and read...
It was a few days ago, and it wasn't even really like to get to the end of anything. It was
you just couldn't put it down.
Like 10 great chapters in a row, yeah.
Yeah. Because I will be listening every waking second of this week, I might miss a few things. I'm trying to be better about it, but if I do, help me fill it all in. That's why I have to read things instead of audio, because I can do the entire thing in 2 and a bit days if I'm reading, but listening takes a while. That's why you listen everywhere. I listen while I walk my dog. Who else is... Am I foreshadowing getting another dog? I had a nightmare that Zell broke her rib and her paw. And she was like hobbling and there was like a bone kind of protruding and like it was a clean break too. Oh, do not recommend. That was horrible. I've not been sleeping well the last couple of nights. Anyone else wake up at 4 a.m. for no good reason and can't get back to sleep for an hour and a half? Yeah, that sucks. Why?
It's described every night.
Except... I'll tell the after show this. This is a bit of an overshare, so it's not public consumption, but oh boy. All right, last comments. I have a suspicion that even Mike's knows that I'm nice to them. Okay, good. Sometimes you just can't tell with text. You can misread it. So yeah, always err on the side of caution. Vanessa says in the hardcover book it's a little over 400 pages, which is why I read too fast. Oh, okay, you guys are good. Okay, cool. What do I know? How do I join the after show, says Academic. Well, it is a perk just for Members Plus, which is a tier that you can unlock in Patreon. I will say majority of conversations do happen in the members chat. We are now playing Wordle games and New York Time games together in the members chat. This is where we talk about upcoming books. This is when we make the decisions and like chat about how far in progress we are. We have a show chat dedicated to what's said here. So members get a lot of say. We are very Discord heavy. So if you're not familiar with Discord, it can be a bit difficult, but definitely try it. It'll bring back your AOL chat room years to life. Mike says, I have the leather-bound Words of Radiance. It's 2 books. And if I threw them, someone would get a concussion. You know, I didn't even throw this one and I've already ripped it somehow. Isn't that terrible? Look at that. I'm actually devastated about that one. I might have to get it back together. If you do want to join up on Patreon, the member tier is $5 a month. If you want to join the show, it's been bumped to 20, even though if you're already a member, it hasn't updated. I've been in touch with Patreon, and apparently they're going to try and help me toggle that. Patreon can be fun, but check out all those perks. We play video games together in the Game On tier. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. Oh my God. We're doing a Dungeon Crawler Carl one-shot tomorrow. I have to flesh out what that looks like. I've got an idea, but I've got to write a show recap leading into it. That's where it's going to start. Just for those that don't know, if you haven't joined Game On, we've been building Dungeon Crawler Carl characters for funsies in there, and I'm going to run a D&D-esque one-shot. There's some pretty cool characters going in there. I'm going to start them all in a safe room, and a show recap from the last night will play. And that's how everyone's going to get in. I think it's going to be on level 3. And in our first episode, everyone's going to tell me how they met each other on the previous floor and why they're all in the safe room together and why they decided to partner up. That sounds so fun. We're in Scolopendra. Ish, yeah. Basically kind of using what the books are. But Tim, you are a sniper-esque character in a ghillie suit that has optical scopes that do different things and bullets that randomize. KP Dubs, you are a rogue trap master. That's also a demon class, so you're fire resistant and your body can turn into flames. Vaden, you are, I keep picturing you as Sandman, but you are an earth shifter. Mover. Yes. That can literally move earth by stomping the ground and causing sort of like in-ground projectiles. And you can throw earth as well. And you are the team's tank. And Jeff, who's not in the chat, is a goat, humanoid goat. Cue the scream. Sounds like this. Someone will get there. There it is. And he basically is a banana farmer. And is going to throw banana seeds that grow instantly. And the banana, I believe, they have different banana abilities. Different color bananas do different things, which is going to be a lot of fun. Baden out here throwing dirt clouds at people. Yeah, so we've worked on the... We've worked on the characters to see the 3 attacks that they have, an item that they have, a class and racial benefit. It's gonna be fun, and hopefully they'll work together to do the level 3 quest. And that's happening tomorrow afternoon. Even if you aren't in the campaign, that'll be a lot of fun to watch. So come on by. I think it's 4 p.m. PT tomorrow. And we may or may not work together. Fun. And then I'm going to be playing Marvel Rivals next weekend. I think that's everything. The Patreon will have fun book questions and schedules. You can follow along for free. So even if you do decide to not join up to a tier, you can still join as a free member and get all the information, especially if you're not on Discord, where we put majority of the other information. Mike says, I love lit RPG. My favorite is He Who Fights Monsters. Maude voicing the AI will be fun to hear. Yeah, that'll be good. It should be fun. Anyway, guys, let's finish the book. Thank you for joining me for Maude's Book Club Part 2 out of 3. I'll see you guys next week. Join the Discord. Who should we raid into? Oh, my neck is not good. Oh, my neck. Who should we raid into? Do you want to watch Monster Hunter? Maybe some D&D? Baldur's Gate 3? What are we feeling? Or if anyone has someone who's got under 10 viewers at the moment.
Democracy.
What is it? Oh, the democracy.
I said democracy.
I don't know who this person is. Hopefully they are decent, but they're playing Marvel Rivals and there's 9 people watching them. So let's go make their day. Thanks everyone. I'll see all the members plus in the chat for a quick debrief powwow. Pow. Wow.